What's shaking, YouTube? This is your boy Prince Cowboy 88, and this is the Cold Cheese and Hot Bullet Sports Podcast. The video entitled today is Why Ezekiel Elliott is Still Important to the Cowboys. And the reason why I'm coming out with this video is because, I've been hearing rumors amongst fans and on the big 4-letter, 3-letter networks them saying that Zeke is washed. And I come to disagree. The reason why. Zeke is not washed. To me, Zeke has been a victim of being under an offensive coordinator that absolutely hates putting the ball in the belly of him and Tony Pollard. You gotta understand that Kellen Moore didn't know how to play Tony Pollard until week 9 or 10. That week we played against the Minnesota Vikings. That's when he fully learned how to use Tony Pollard in his last year as being the offensive coordinator of the Cowboys. Now, he's been with Tony Pollard ever since his beginning. In fact, when Tony Pollard got drafted in, that was his first year of offensive coordinating with us. And he never really truly had a understanding or a connection with Zeke. And when you have an offensive coordinator that don't believe in the run, you kind of make your running backs look very minute and small in skill level because you don't display them a lot. Now, you got to understand that Zeke has been in the league for 7 years. He's been in the league as long as Dak Prescott. In fact, they came in together. Zeke being the number 1 draft pick and Dak Prescott being the number 4 draft pick in the 4th round. 4th draft pick, I'm going to say. But with that said, Zeke is at the point of his career where you got to give him touches and bunches. Meaning that you can't sit him on the bench and expect to put him in a game and be cold start and producing right away. Zeke has that rare ability, but yet that old school feel where he's still back in the day, like they did back in the latter years, the running back set the tone, meaning that he blocked for his quarterback and he also rushed yards. Zeke can block, and not only block, but floor the defenders coming after Dak Prescott, and he still can rush yards. But you got to give him his touches. He's not that young bull where he's just gonna start giving you 6 to 7 to 8, 10 yards the first play. Zeke gonna give you 1.5, 2, 3.5, 4, 5.5, and then he'll break for 10 yards. And that's probably the most break or burst that you're gonna get out of Zeke. Zeke still, like I said, have the ability to break down a defensive line, which Tony Pollard is not built to run in between the tackles on a 25+ consistent basis. Zeke at the most should get 20 touches, and Tony should get 13 to 15 touches. Meaning that if we have a 35 rushing game, that means Zeke get 20, Tony get 15. If we have a 32 rushing game, I feel that Zeke should get 20 and Tony needs to get 12. The reason why I choose Tony to get less because it don't take as much for Tony to get the ball and be productive. Whereas Zeke, you need to give him his 20 touches to get his feel underneath his legs. See, you not rushing him would lead to injuries because when he do rushes, any little nick, tweak, or anything like that would injure him because he's not out there getting used to being popped on, or hit on, or anything like that. He's built for the long haul. He's built for the punishment. In fact, he gets stronger as far as the game goes along. Much like a Derrick Henry over here in Titan Lane. So the thing is, we had an offensive coordinator that don't believe in the run and despise the run, and then when he goes to the podium after the game and said, yeah, I know we run because of a strong running game, but we still could have thrown the ball though. Now you just won the game with the run, but you're gonna come with that excuse. We still could have thrown the ball though. And then you got to keep in mind at the same time, Zeke got 12 rushing end zone touchdowns last year. 12 rushing touchdowns last year. Zeke got about 853 yards of the year. He would have had about 950 950 something if he would have played the 2 games that he missed. Zeke still is a viable back at the end of the day. I understand that he don't have the same qualities as he had in 2016. But I think under Brian Schottenheimer, I think he can get Zeke back to that 2019-2020 Zeke without the fumbles. Because 2020, he had a horrible fumble year. He was fumbling everything. And then he caught COVID, and he was out games that year. So it was a horrible year for us. I don't even want to go back to that year. It was so bad. But if you can give Zeke the ball on a regular basis, Zeke will start to get bursts. Just like in that Thanksgiving game against the Giants when he actually hurdled over somebody. I ain't seen nobody Zeke hurdle over somebody ever since the first or second years of his career. Zeke still got it. It's just you got to use him on a regular basis to loosen up them joints, to loosen up them muscles, and to build up his confidence. Zeke ain't number 27 years of age. He's nothing but 27 years old. He is not washed by any means. I think with Brian Schottenheimer, he would actually have a real running scheme, which he did in Seattle, which would get Zeke the ball where he don't have to take too much contact. And then you got to keep in mind at the same time, we lost Terrence Steele in the latter part of the year. So our running game was not the same when Terrence Steele went out. We didn't have him in the playoffs. So, we put a whooping on Tampa Bay without Terrence Steele, without that guy making room as big as a Mack truck through the line. Just imagine we would have had him in that Tampa Bay game with him. I think we would have scored a couple more touchdowns. I think we would have totally blown Tampa Bay out. And I think we would have won that San Francisco game with Terrence Steele with the big holes he made. But we didn't have Terrence Steele because he got injured in the latter part of the year. Zeke's knee was questionable, so he wasn't quite the same. But at the end of the day, if you know how to use Zeke, he still is productive. I think this year, and I predict this, I feel this, because he's going to return. They're gonna restructure the deal when he returns. I think under Brian Schottenheimer, I think that Jerry and Steven is going to pat themselves on the back and say, thank you, God, we retrade him, because Brian Schottenheimer is going to come up with a scheme to revitalize Zeke, to add 2 more years of youth in him. I think he's going to literally bring him back to that 2019-2020 Zeke. Now, for all you true diehard Zeke fans, we got to face it. 2016 Zeke is gone. Dead and gone. 2017 Zeke is gone. Dead and gone. You know what I mean? He would never be back. But that 2019-2020 Zeke, we can get him back with Brian Schottenheimer and his schemes, because we actually got an offensive coordinator with a scheme that can make things work for an older quarterback like Zeke. And he will actually scheme it where it'll be a lot of deceptions and foolery, where he can just pretty much realign Zeke up to the left, but he runs to the right. Or we line him up to the on the right side of the quarterback, and he sways to the left. It'll be a lot of free yards. So by the time he get to the 10th yard or 6 or 7 yard, then that's when he get touched with somebody finally catches up with him and then sack him. So I think if they keep Zeke this year and give him a chance under Brian Schottenheimer, because that's what I really want. I want to see Zeke under Brian Schottenheimer, run first type of offensive coach or offensive coordinator. I want to see what he's going to do with Zeke, and I want to see how Zeke works with a Brian Schottenheimer run first offensive coordinator. Now, if he's minute and he looks, well, I ain't gonna say as bad as last year, because he produced pretty well, but if he looks kind of lackluster under Brian Schottenheimer, then after the end of next season, I say, okay, let's move on. But in the meantime, for my people that want to get rid of Zeke, maybe you would like this part. I still feel that we do need to draft a running back. I still feel that. We do need to draft a running back just in case we know Zeke is not going to be no longer serviceable for the 2024 season. But as of the 2023 season, we need to keep Zeke and see what he does under Brian Schottenheimer before we throw him over a cliff, because he is still a Cowboy and he's still one of the heart and souls of the Cowboy Nation. And I love that guy and I thank him for everything he has done for us so far. So let's not look like ungrateful fans. Let's be mature fans and let's think first. But how about them Cowboys? Feed Zeke for 2023 and I'm out.